I actually attempted suicide at age 10. Under religious freedoms, you can share what you share and do business the way you do business. But unfortunately, that was actually it was the reason why my friend died yesterday, actually got assassinated. The man without arms and legs can embrace hope in his full potential. And I want the world to do that too.
Welcome to the Swedish Wealth Institute podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wood. And as this is our first episode of the podcast, I wanted to welcome you personally. You're about to hear an absolutely amazing interview with Nick Vujicic, who is just an absolutely amazing person, speaker, and shared so openly about his story and background. So you're going to absolutely love this. I wanted to welcome you to the Swedish Wealth Institute. What we do is connect you personally with the top mentors and experts in the world. We do that both here through the podcast, and in each episode, the speaker will share with you a way to connect with them directly. Because our mission is to help you find the right mentor at the right time to help you take the next step on your journey. We also have our events like the Your Path to Financial Freedom, 7 Steps to Success, the Financial Freedom Summit, the Empowered Women event, and other absolutely amazing events where we connect you directly to the top speakers, mentors, coaches in the world that can help you take the next step towards your goals and dreams. Today, I have a special gift for you as a welcome to this episode and as a thank you for joining us. On our website, SwedishWealthInstitute.com, we have created a special blueprint. It's called the Wealth Blueprint. And when we say wealth, we don't just mean financially. We mean all areas of life, right? It's your relationships, your spiritual development, your health, your mission, your contribution, your spirituality, and of course, financially. In the Wealth Blueprint, you will find advice and support from multiple speakers that we work with, people like Les Brown, Robert Kiyosaki, Jack Canfield, and other absolutely amazing speakers from all over the world. We want to give this to you as a gift, as a thank you for listening to this episode. And you will find this in every single episode of the Swedish Wealth Institute podcast, where we are going to try to surprise you with something special, something unique, something that you haven't seen before. You'll always have the link in the show notes, and you'll be able to find all the information about gifts, bonuses, on the Swedish Wealth Institute podcast website, which we'll also link here in the show notes. So as your first gift, go get the Wealth Blueprint. You can get that by going to SwedishWealthInstitute.com. You scroll down a little bit on the page and you fill out the form, and we will send you that report right away. And I hope you absolutely love it. And now I hope you absolutely love this episode with Nick, where he shares his journey, his background, and hopefully inspires you to grow and take that next step. Welcome to the Swedish Wealth Institute podcast. You were obviously born with what a lot of people would see as challenges. How did you create this absolutely amazing life for yourself, even that starting point, so to speak?
Everyone's dealt with different cards for sure. And when people look at me, without limbs, they can only imagine kind of the emotions, the isolation, the fear, the anxiety, the bigger questions of life that I had, even as a young child. But I think we actually subliminally even look at people and say, well, at least I'm not as bad as that, or it could be worse, or however other tactful thoughts come even in the subconsciousness of us. And for me, it's not about comparing everyone's brokenness. It's understanding that there is hope. And it's such a profound revelation to know that no matter who I am, what the world says about me, what I have, what I don't have, what I can do, what I can't do, how many friends I have versus not have, all these measurements of happiness or joy or fulfillment really has nothing to do with purpose and identity. And I think when you know the truth of your purpose and your identity, and understanding, we've all heard that, shoulda, coulda, woulda, if I only knew then
Yeah.
what I now know, right? Okay, fine. If things were just a little bit different, okay, fine. But what if they're not? And what if you didn't know back then what you now know. It's understanding that today is a gift and to embrace hope in your identity and in your value and in your purpose to know that you're not defined by circumstances. Now, that's easy, Daniel, to say because at the beginning it was horrific. It was whirlwinds. It was like a swamp. It was so much pressure on my mind and my heart. Every day I went to school and I had these preconceived ideas that number one, everyone else seems happier than me. Everyone does have more than me. Why me? Why do I have less? Why will I never be happy? And in the moments, Daniel, I think where there are no clear answers, that's where we decide to do what we do with our thoughts and our feelings. If we're human beings, then we have human thoughts and human feelings. We are all human with those thoughts and feelings. But the difference here is what will you do with those thoughts and feelings? And in that maturing process of going through the pit of despair, anxiety, depression, isolating myself, not telling anyone that I did have suicidal thoughts, and even starting to plan out my suicide as a child secretly, it was difficult. And I don't want anyone, I wish no one would go through brokenness and loneliness and thoughts of suicide. But no matter whether you have arms and legs or not, what the aha moment is for our viewers and listeners here today, it's not about having arms and legs or not. It's about having hope or not.
Right. Yeah.
And to find that hope, it was a journey for me. And unfortunately, I did go through 5 years of depression. I did feel alone. I did feel like I hated myself, that there was nothing good to look forward to. And I actually attempted suicide at age 10, trying to drown myself in 15 centimeters of water, believing that I'd never be happy, never be independent, never get a job, never get married. Even if I got married, I can't even hold my wife's hand. Even if I had kids, I can't even hold my kids when they're crying. What kind of life is really awaiting me? And so why wait for that kind of life? And so these were the thoughts, unfortunately, in the process of going through that pain and having to embrace the unknown.
Wow. So how did this change? Like what happened for you to kind of well, you obviously you completely changed the way you think. How did that happen or how did that start?
Yeah, I think it was the decision of do I deliberately in action proactively give up?
Yeah.
And I tried that. And the reason why I did not go through with the attempted suicide was because I loved my parents who loved me more than I hated my own pain. And so I had a loving home that were always telling me that I'm beautiful, that I'm special, and they didn't deserve that pain. Um, so in that then decision to not give up, to then survive.
Yeah.
So before we talk about thriving in the life that people say that I've built for myself, it's surviving before you thrive. And so to survive is that mindset of taking just today, just this morning, just this afternoon. I need to take one day at a time. And in that, being thankful for what I have, being thankful for what could have been worse, being thankful that I can still be a listening ear to somebody else, that in itself was an essence of purpose that I'd never felt before
Yeah.
where in that survival mode, all you can think of is your circumstance, your thoughts, your feelings, your decisions. But when you realize that there are other people out there going through brokenness and suffering, and you could be a part of either the hope that they find or their brokenness, i.e., bullying at school as a kid, you realize that wow, life is precious, life is fleeting, and life is fragile. And my decisions make all the difference for me and potentially making the world a better place, which always sounds cliche, but it is true. So for me, then I, at age 13, I had a experience where I hurt my foot so bad. I have a little appendage on the bottom left of my torso and I'm able to walk and be independent. And I hurt it so bad playing soccer, I couldn't actually walk. And I realized I have a choice, either be angry for what I don't have or be thankful for what I do have. And so that foundation of attitude of gratitude and the pace of just taking today, tackling today, that helped me to survive. And then lastly, it was faith, family, friends, and goals in fitness, finance, and fun that gave me a vision to want to live on and really dream big. It was interesting because so many people, Daniel, would come up to me and say, "Well, what do you want to be when you grow up?" I'm like, "I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I don't know what vocation I'm going to have. Is anyone going to want to employ me? Who's going to want to employ me if they have to employ a nurse to look after me? They're not going to do one employee for the price of two." So I knew all that and didn't know what I would be when I grew up. But I found my passion in reaching out to someone who's brokenhearted and finding out that you can actually make a living from making a world a better place around you. It just seemed like a dream. Now, my background was in finance. I was already in stocks, trading stocks as a teenager, bought my first home at age 19. I went to college, university, and I did accounting and financial planning, graduated at 21 with a double major, was able to pay all my education in cash at that time. And that was because I already found my groove in my purpose and the truth of my identity. And that was when I realized it really doesn't matter how much money I make in the world. It really doesn't matter what impact I do make on the world, as much as making sure that I fulfilled my full potential. And understanding that no one knew what Nick could do without limbs until he tried. My question was really tempting, and an aggressive appetite to change the world came from a question: why not try change the world and do all that I can? And so I'm unique in that sense, but we all are world changers. Not all of us become a speaker or an author or meet presidents. I was just with a couple presidents 2 weeks ago in Central America, and 20 million social media fans and 87 countries traveled, 3,500 speeches in front of 11 million people. 1 billion people in China know who I am, 1 billion people in India know who I am, and then another close to 1 billion people outside of those countries. And so to nearly have 3 billion people know something about your story to glean hope from, it's overwhelming. But at the same time, it's all about the one. So it's not just the one day at a time. It's what can I do today? My friend just died yesterday.
Oh,
He was
so
31,
sorry.
and we shared multiple stages together. And he's got a wife and kids left behind. And, I've buried 10 people in the last 10 years of my life who were older and younger. And three of them were really close to me. Actually, five of them were close to me. And it's been rough. It's been tough. COVID was hard for many people, especially in the speaking industry as well. And the unknown, I think, sometimes cripples us all, Daniel. And so, what do you know about yourself? What do you hold onto about your value, your identity? And then find your purposeness in what your heart comes alive in. And so, I have to say this: I thank God for my faith, my parents, and the wife that I have today. We've been married for 13 years. We have four beautiful kids. We'll be adopting a baby soon as well. And I think the simple basics of life give me the most life.
I mean, looking at what you went through as a kid, like the profound level of maturity you found early is pretty amazing. And the journey you've been on since. I'd love to get to that beginning of that journey. Like, how did you figure out that you had a knack for investing? How did you get into stocks? How did you buy that first property? Like, how did you go from I don't know what I'm going to be when I get big to becoming a financial whiz? Like, that's a pretty cool step.
It is pretty cool stuff. It's a great story. So when I was 6 years of age, I had two siblings younger than me, and obviously I couldn't throw a football. I couldn't do what everyone else has been doing. couldn't run track. And so my dad pushed me in mathematics and chess. And we're European, from the Eastern European bloc. And that's how we were raised. I was born in Australia, but I was raised Eastern European. And in that culture, school, working hard, not complaining, being thankful, shut up, just do what you can, and really pushing me hard was a beautiful thing. I became a year in advance student in mathematics in school. I was known as a good chess player back then. I was taught that money don't grow on trees, and that's not because they told me that. They did say that, and I didn't understand what that meant until my parents refused to buy me toys. In the refusal to buy me what I wanted, when I wanted it, how I wanted it, it prevented me, first and foremost, from being ill prepared for the world. The world
Right.
doesn't give you what you want, when you want, how you want it, and if they do, it's probably bad for you, okay? And so to prepare me for the world, I actually picked up the vacuum cleaner, figured out a house chore at 6 years of age to earn money to then get the toys I wanted. It gave me dignity, it taught me goal setting, and it taught me to be grateful for the food on the table. It's one thing, Daniel, to hear from my parents who fled communism regime in 1960s former Yugoslavia, fleeing, leaving their home land and having no home and having no food, and then both of my parents migrating to Australia with nothing. My dad straddling 3 jobs, my mom having a full-time job, then raising a disabled son and 2 other siblings after me. I mean, just incredible role models, right? But it's one thing to say, "Hey, sons, daughter, be thankful for the food you have," because there were times in life that we didn't have food. That doesn't compute. But when you actually set goals for your kids that they take responsibility to set their own goals, it was just a big thing. And so work ethic, forward thinking of, when I was a kid, my dad saying, "Nick, you don't have arms and legs, but you have a brain, use your brain, get employees to be your hands and feet," could be really, really cool in dreaming bigger in that. That's kind of what I was thinking, accounting, financial planning, working hard for money, saving, that was very good. Being independent, very good. But then at age 16, my dad said, "Hey, son." I said, "Yes, dad." He said, "I want to teach you how money can work for you, not just you work for money." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And that's when I learned about simple interest compared to compound interest. That's when I learned about the stock market. And I was very intrigued. And at age 16, my dad trusted me. He knew how sharp I was back then. I would actually trade my dad's stocks according to his orders, and actually, you'd have to pick up the phone and
Oh,
call
yeah.
the stockbroker back then in the 1990s to actually put a position in Australia in. And so I saw my dad work really hard, but then I also saw how he was smart with money and money grew.
Right.
And I was so intrigued about that. And so I learned about stocks, but he was more of a fundamental trader, blue chip. I'm like, what else is there? And I learned about technical analysis, and the charting intrigued me. And I'm like, I want to know more. And then I learned about options where you can make money even if the stock goes down, make money even if it doesn't go up or down, and make money, of course, if it goes up, depending on the position that you take. And so I actually became an options trader, spent a couple grand to go to a class to learn. My parents thought I was crazy spending two to $3,000 on this. I'm like, no, no, no. And I did it. And then I spoke, saved money, invested, spoke, saved money, invested, and bang, 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 and went all in every single time, compounding, compounding. And it was just incredible. At age 17, 18, I actually felt like I was cheating because my my friends at school would work really hard at school, homework, and then go to a coffee shop, get paid 9, 10, $11 an hour, and I'm making hundreds of dollars. I'll never forget. Uh, I make 180 bucks in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I place a trade. at 8:45 and buy it, and it just did the same thing every single time. Dunlop tires, it would open at 72, go down to 71 cents, and then I put an order to sell at 74 cents, couple grand. It was just like, what in the world is going on? And I did that daily. And I'm like, this is cheating. And I'm like, oh my God, maybe money is just a game. And funnily enough, like I think stocks are sexy. And when speaking went to zero, obviously you need to diversify your investments, and real estate was something I started. I bought my first home at age 19. And we had a portfolio out here in Texas since 2013. And when speaking went to zero, and some very difficult, trying, unique times that I had to face as a celebrity here in America in 2019. So between 2019 and 2020, that was my most difficult time of life that extended into 2021. I went through counseling. But in that, there were some financial repercussions that if I didn't have a 500,000 to lose in 2019 and a 500,000 in 2020 to lose, our financial situation would be very different and difficult. And the reason why I was able to do that is because I had a portfolio to diversify in real estate that I could liquidate, and also saving some cash. And lastly, went back into stock trading. 2021, I traded stocks for 6 months and did really well. And I just feel like knowledge is huge empowerment, and that can be abused and misused. But the knowledge of, first and foremost, your identity in life, again, faith, family, friends. But when you look at your fitness and your finance, finance brings freedom. There are so many people, Daniel, who never enjoy their life because they feel like their financial dreams or freedom of walking away from a 9 to 5 job is impossible. It's not. I don't care where you are. It doesn't mean that this is the same for the 2 billion people in the world that only live on a handful of rice a day. But for all of us in the West and developing countries, not only could we do that, but then have responsibility for those who don't have the liberties out there. And so, hand in hand, in understanding how your identity, purpose, passion, and dreams and knowledge, understanding of what is your full potential is everything. And so, the resilience is stood in me where I uniquely was positioned. Two things. The reason why I was maturing in my mind is because I had to ask the harder questions earlier on. Why me? What's my purpose? Why go on? But then also not knowing what's the limit. There is no limit to what Nick can actually do if he puts his mind to it, generally speaking. And so I just want everyone to know that I'm the same as you. I am the same as you. I cry. I go through depression. I go through isolation. I struggle with things and thoughts and ups and downs of life. I think it's not about the outside, it's about the inside, meaning we feel isolated, we feel broken, we feel despair and fear, but we also can find hope. That's what I think everyone needs to come to in understanding that if a man without arms and legs can embrace hope in his full potential, then I want the world to do that too.
That is beautiful. I love that. Can I ask what was it that happened there in 2019, 2020 that, basically was costing you a million, put you into counseling? Like what was going on?
So I'll start with the counseling. The pressures of 2019 and 2020 brought me to a point where I just needed to offload to another human being. And it was 2021 where I needed 10 counseling sessions once a week, 1 hour per session, via Zoom. And it was someone who actually has done counseling all of his life, and he was in his early 70s. And when your own counselor starts crying and they've heard everything under the sun, what's interesting is what I told him had nothing to do with 2019 or 2020. It was actually the pain of 2019 and 2020 that unearthed some unresolved brokenness in my life since '02 that extended to '07. And it was 6 years of my life that I don't really talk about, and definitely didn't talk to anybody about that. And I knew that in our life, there were times where we had to do what we had to do and just get through life and just hold my breath and keep going and just feel like I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. But I never really addressed the brokenness in my heart and was able to do that. But the pains of 2019 and 2020, and I was able to forgive someone. There was some unforgiveness of someone that hurt me. And then, so that was 6 hours of the session. Then the 4 hours was about the other things. And so 2019 and 2020, I'm not too sure how many people in Europe and around the world really understand what cancel culture is. It's something that was coined a couple years ago as conservative Christians, that under religious freedoms, you can share what you share and do business the way you do business. But unfortunately, that was actually it was the reason why my friend died yesterday, actually got assassinated yesterday, Charlie Kirk. And it's just difficult to believe the evil in the world. And, my prayers are for his family and the team, all very, very devastated. And in this, moment, people need to be aware of the evil out there. And I faced my little giant in 2019. There was an online gay magazine publication that framed me with also a false accusation, but first framed me as an anti-LGBTQ person, which I've never gone out of my way to tell anybody why, you shouldn't do this and why you should stop anything. That's not my platform at all. But I became a target with 20 million social media fans. And then I was falsely accused of firing someone for being gay, which was completely false. And all my corporate American motivational speeches, Google says I'm top 3 speaker in the world. ChatGPT says top 10 in the world. And so I have a lot of opportunities to inspire people. And all that, all the invitations, all the contracts in America in 2019 canceled me. I was a customer of a large bank in America called Chase Bank. And very large banks now have a massive reputation for canceling conservative Christians out here. And so I was one of those earlier social social media influencer targets, unfortunately. So I was kicked out of a bank as a customer, and losing bank, losing the money, losing any reputation as a speaker in American corporate America was a very difficult thing. So we lost money in the first, year, and then the second year it was COVID. And so it was a 1-2 punch and basically knocked us out, and was like, wow, which was great in a way where you think now back in hindsight, I'm thankful because that really helped me to be not only who I am today, but to understand and be healed of inner healing that needed happening. But it really has brought a spotlight for me in how beautiful my family is, how much I want to be with them, and how beautiful my time with my family really is, that no money in the world can replace that. And I've reached the top. I really have. And I give thanks for my faith and my family on the support as far as the speaker is concerned. And I'm actually retiring. A lot of the activity I used to do, I don't do anymore. I'll travel for the nonprofit, but not for motivational speaking anymore.
Right.
And that's why we're doing a podcast. I'm really excited about it. It's fresh, it's new, it's beautiful. We're doing a podcast about resilience next week, and we're excited about that. We're talking about trust and caregivers and just the uniqueness of the thought processes I've needed to have over my lifetime. And so trying to reach people through masterclasses, trying to reach people virtually is my goal like never before. And even looking at the next generation, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing a cartoon series about my life and make a cartoon Nick caricature and book series that
Mm.
really move every person's heart over the generations. And so I'm 42 and very thankful that I can come to a point where I can choose to retire off the road and go into the passions and dreams. And so people don't know this, Daniel, but stocks, real estate, and music are my biggest three passions. They really, really are. And I'll be starting portfolios of stocks and real estate and opportunity out here in Texas. Very, very excited about that. And music. People don't know I write music. And so I want to sing again and just help the world know that hope is real. And so give everyone opportunity to grow their wealth, make the difference in the world, and to be moved in the heart and the mind along the way. That's me today, buddy.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Can I ask, how were you able to, like, because obviously what you were going through, I get why you were so crushed. How did you turn it around? Like, how did 2021 start changing and 2022 and so on?
Look, I didn't even share with you all the details. We had a grenade over our house and at our house, and a spying drone over our house, and then another country dude trying to sue me for defamation. He didn't win. It was just so stupid. The whole thing was just ridiculous. One day at a time.
Yeah.
I think I was depressed probably for about 7 months. My wife just not saying much, but just being with me, allowing me though to have my isolation period. And what was interesting was, as you kind of stabilize, after 10 years, my wife finally got her green card. So she hadn't been able to leave the United States because she did come illegally when she was a teenager. Got that fixed, took 10 years. And then kind of the dreams of old came back. Oh, yeah, that's right. We can go around the world. Oh, yeah, that's right. Our kids can have an opportunity to travel. Oh, yeah, that's right. The greatest thing of all is my family, and we're together. And as long as we're together, that's all we need. We'll ride the waves together. And that calibration, I wish I got there sooner, but I just think it's testament and testimony to all of you. Nick's not as strong as you think he is. Nick's not as smart either. And I just survived one day at a time. I think one of those things, though, that helped me as well, Daniel, which was really, really important, especially for us men. It's not sexist or anything. I'd say the same thing for women. But for me, especially, there were things as a man that I feel like I can only tell another friend who's a male, that I can't and don't want to say anything to my wife, or the fears or thoughts. And so I felt there was a lot of wisdom in choosing two of my closest friends to alternate calls. So I'd call one guy every 2 weeks and the other guy the alternating week.
Mhm.
And that psychologically, Daniel, hearing someone's voice that's your trusted friend, just a listening ear, even if it's silent, it doesn't matter. I think the biggest beautiful thing that we don't want to believe sometimes, and we can't believe, is that we don't have to go through this alone. We conclude, this is it. I'm gonna have to get through this. Well, you don't have to get through this alone. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And once you get through that storm, eventually, and you do, don't forget that. Don't forget that stuff that made you not just to survive, but keep those friendships going and recalibrate your target of happiness and joy, which, even when we die, I believe in heaven. And so I don't have to be devastated if my wife dies. I will be devastated. I will miss her forever. If I bury my child, I can't imagine any of these pains, but to know that there is hope even after death, that all of a sudden changes my calibration. Doesn't mean that you don't feel bad at all. You go through it, but I believe you also grow through it.
Oh, that's powerful. Yeah. I mean, I have a sense of what you were going through. Like, we had some really tough times during COVID, and it was so bad at a point that I actually did a real pros and cons list of would it be better for my family if I passed away and they got the insurance money?
Mm.
That's the level we'd got to. So I do have a sense for what you're going through, and I'm so happy you've kind of come out the other side and obviously doing, so much better. One thing I want to work back to, like right at the beginning of your journey, because one thing you said that I thought was really cool was you started working by helping a person who was heartbroken, and you realized that you could make a living off of making the world a better place. Share, what does that mean?
Yeah, look, I think it's you got to follow your dreams and your passions. And so, I mean, I love my parents so much, and I did enjoy math and chess and stocks and the idea of real estate. But believe it or not, the person who first came up to me, who said that, Nick, I think that you're going to go around the world and share your story with the world, with it's crazy. We got a documentary about my life coming out, by the way, next year. We're really excited about that. And the janitor who was at the high school seeing me speak as the vice president as a 17-year-old to the school, to the whole student body, heard my speech. And Arnold, the janitor in his 60s, came up to me and he said, I believe you're going to go around the world and bring hope. I said, what? And he said, you have a remarkable story. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. He said, no, I'm not. You have a story and the world needs to know it. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I walked away, and the next day he pulled me over and he said, hey, would you please allow me to arrange a mini speech, handful of students here at the school on a Friday lunch, and just share from your heart? I said, I don't know what, like, this guy's on drugs or something. Like, what in the world is he talking about? And I said, no. And he was so persistent. And I finally, like, you know what? I'm just going to make him happy and get him off my back. I'm going to do it. And I did it. And I didn't know what to say. I mean, what's my story? I don't know my story because I have no idea what to say. And Google still says that the biggest fear in the world is public speaking, and then death is second. And so some people would rather die than being a speaker. And I admit, my palms were sweaty, my knees were shaking, and I had no idea what I was going to say. And I just spoke from my heart, and people were crying. And I'm like, thanks for making me feel good. That's not necessary. And they started getting my number and texting me and inviting me to the local churches and speak to more youth. And I'm like, I don't know what is going on. And my parents had no idea either. And I was just going with the flow. I'm like, okay, if you want me to do it again, I can do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. And then over 2 years, I spoke 12 times, and it was weird. It was this one moment, I'll never forget it, in 2002, where I came home one night at age 19, and my mom was waiting up for me. She's like, I don't know what's going on, dude, but I got to talk to you, son. I said, what's up, Ma? She said, I don't know what's going on, but these strangers, I never met them before. You've never met them before. They pick you up. They take you in the car for a couple of hours. And when you all come back, you're smiling, they're crying, and they're giving you cash. And she's like, what are you doing? Are you making them feel sorry for you? Like, what is going on? I said, well, I'm speaking. She says, you're speaking? I said, yeah, I'm speaking. She says, speaking about what? I said, my story. She said, you have a story? I said, I don't know. I think so. She says, well, what's your story? I said, I don't know. She's like, but why are they crying? I said, I don't know. And she's like, is this a hobby or a job? I said, I think it's a job. She says, well, I don't think so. And you need to listen to your father. You need to do accounting and financial planning. And that's your job. I said, okay. And my parents said no to my request to skip university. My dad wisely said, you need this education in accounting and financial planning just in case your speaking thing doesn't work out. And that's what happened, dude. And as soon as I graduated, I came to America,
Wow.
and land of opportunity, and been now 20 years since we registered the nonprofit out here. And so it's been great. We've given over 3 million to the poor and needy, and we're very thankful for that. And who knows, what the next 10 years looks like. But we definitely want to have me travel less and do more program content stuff and all of that. But yeah, it's been an incredible journey. So that's how that all happened.
That's amazing. So I'm very analytical as a person. So let's get a little tangible and kind of go, all right, so how do your audience today, what can we do to kind of borrow some of your resilience?
I think what is beautiful is you have to try. I mean, I didn't go viral unless I did a DVD. The DVD back then was a tactful way to reach more people without rocking up anywhere. I mean, I opened up my MySpace account. YouTube was barely coming on the scene. I was, blessed to be black marketed on my DVD. People don't remember what burning a DVD means.
Right.
And that all happened around the world and started translating things in different languages and finding out, went viral in Indonesia, went viral in Africa, went viral in India. And then in '06, I had 70 million views on that DVD video that was ripped off the DVD and uploaded on the thing. And I'm like, well, I don't want to take it down. 70 million people have watched it so far. And so that was the beginnings. I think you need to just try. You don't know what you can achieve until you try. And we don't try sometimes because we're afraid of failing and the rejection of that. But if you embrace failure as your classroom, you can't lose. And if it's meant to be, it's going to happen. If not, then another door is going to open if that door shuts. And so I think having that maintenance of a grander vision for your life. What is the vision? You need a vision board. Nothing wrong with having money, but money doesn't make you happy. So what is that big vision though for you? What is that purpose centric in that? Make sure that you bring in fun. So many people go into a lull because, well, you were not engaged actively for yourself in experiencing fun because you simply didn't plan that trip that could have been fun. You simply didn't put $20 aside a week to one day go to Australia and go check out that beautiful country. It's these little goals that we think, oh, once I get less busy, once I achieve this, then I'll get that. Problem is when you neglect fitness or you neglect fun or you neglect friends or you even sometimes neglect family, that it affects you. And so I think you need to do a real assessment of what's your goal, what's important to you, what are the goals that you can set, short-term, mid-term, long-term goals. I think that's the key. What are the goals for the next 45 days? That's a short-term goal in my book. Mid-term goal, 6 to 12 months. Long-term goal, 3 to 5 years, 3 to 7 years, depends what it is. And so being disciplined in having a meeting with yourself, yourself, and you every quarter and reassessing all that, I think is something that I've been able to actually exercise and it helped me to get through.
Nice. I love that. I love the vision board and goal setting. Like that's something I spend so much time with. That's brilliant. So talk more about your passion for charities and what is a charity you're especially passionate about right now?
Look, the first time my children saw poverty, my oldest was 7 years of age. We took him 45 minutes from my house, went down to downtown Dallas. There's 32 homeless military veterans. Shame on our country and shame on churches who say they're a church, but they're actually not helping as much as they could. And so us, the way we believe is we're here to make the world a better place. And I showed that to my son at age 7. And I didn't sit him down and say, hey, you need to start a business. I said, hey, at my events, do you want to maybe sell some jewelry or something like that? He's like, oh yeah, I'd love to earn money. We've been very careful with buying my children toys with our money, just like my parents did with me. And then he started earning money at age 7. And then he gave away 30% of what he earned to the poor. He made that up, and he started making money. He made $500. He made $1,000. He made $2,000. And now he's 12 and he's got a car detailing business and he's got $8,000 in his bank account. $8,000. He's 12 and he gives away money. And so you can't teach work ethics
Yeah.
or generosity and charity. You need to show that yourself. And they watch and they learn accordingly. And so that's the bottom line, where you need to, in my opinion, if you're depressed, one of those things is to actually help someone else in need. It's when you can take your eyes off of yourself and you do help someone else. And there is something that you receive in that act, psychologically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, that you cannot receive otherwise. And it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. And so I'm 42. I've got 20 million social media fans. I mean, my biggest pivot ever in my life. This is 2025 has been a very difficult year for me. And I'm saying no to a lot of money because I don't want to travel anymore. And now I'm transitioning in a very, very, very big way. And it's scary still today, but I know I need to do it. And that's what I go with. I go with the peace of my soul. And so these are the things that kind of I remind myself of these things that really go back to my philosophical view because of who I am and what I believe. No one should go hungry. We have enough money in the world to make the world a better place. Now, I'm not saying that now we should own nothing and everyone should be on a $2,500 a month thing. That's depressing, in my opinion, because then you lack meaning, you lack purpose, you lack drive, you lack goals. I think capitalism is very important, but to empower entrepreneurship, financial literacy. I mean, every single school should be teaching financial literacy in the world. We still don't here in America. It's unbelievable. And, transforming inner cities where, people die once a week because of violence. Like how do we truly uh, empower people? It's incredible when you see projects. I was in El Salvador. I was with Bukele. President Bukele, I think, is the greatest president I've ever met in my life, and I've met 37. And I love Victor Orban and Sergio from Paraguay. I love them all very, very much, and they've done incredible things for their country. And sometimes you just give in the middle finger to some other world organizations, and sometimes it's doing the impossible. I mean, imagine how you want inspiration. Look at Bukele. He put 70,000 gang violence members in jail. No one got killed. Since 2019 to 2025, that country completely changed. If a country can change, then the world can change. If I can just make a difference in one person's life, that's all that counts. And so that's where I'm at, dude. We just gotta stop being as selfish as we are. Me, me, me. Get out what I want, when I want, how I want it. If that's your child, they're not going to get far in life. They're not. It's an entitled position to be served and consuming instead of producing and to serve.
I love how that your son is entrepreneurial and already running his own business. I have 3 sons. They have 3 small companies they run together, building up their own cash, and I tell them, half of it has to go into your money machine for your future. The other half you can do whatever you want with, and it keeps them motivated, right? It's, as you said, capitalism has a motivating factor. So they can buy their Roblox, they can buy their V-Bucks and all the other stuff, and they don't have to come and ask dad for permission. It's their money, they earned it, they did it. So it's really, really cool. And yeah, just speaking of, family and everything else, like, let's talk legacy. What are you hoping to leave behind? What are you hoping to be remembered for?
Someone who is courageous to dream big. And my long-term goal, it's a 10-year goal, is to inspire 200 million people to give $2 a day.
Nice.
I believe it's possible to have a fund that, without corruption and wonderful efficiency, administer help to the world at 146 billion a year. I think that's possible. So that's what I feel is the legacy, and just bringing hope to the world through messaging of hope. That's it. And that's what the world will, I hope, remember me as, but I don't need to be remembered. But I just hope it inspires other people to do what they're supposed to do.
Well, if you can pull off that charity, you're going to change the world, whether you're get the credit or remembered for it or not. You will have made a incredible impact. Talk about your podcast you're launching.
It's a very cool podcast. I mean, we had so many different things we could have done, right? And I think it's just pulling back the curtains to get to know Nick. Our first episode was all about trust, right? Just incredible the level of trust I need to have in human beings around me. And we talked about that as a topic. And I have many friends who are in different spaces in America, some in social media space. We just had Kerry Eldred, who talked about how for 21 years, him and his dad have been trying to figure out how to reach the world in a positive way using the internet since 2004. Billionaires out of Silicon Valley. And now just, the last 21 years, just fascinated about a platform that really has incredible positive purposes behind it. And, having some friends once a month and just discussions on topics that we believe are interesting. And we're getting questions and topics from the 20 million social media fans that we have. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's not work to me. Is not work to me. And having Gus as my co-host is not work to me. I don't even prep. They don't even know. I didn't even know until the minute before we're recording what we're doing. And then we just open it up and go deep into it. And I'm pretty excited about it. I really am. And so I'm in a season of resolve of big decisions. I'm very excited as well, Daniel. So it's on a weekly basis, Monday on YouTube. Very excited about it. We'll be doing a digital magazine, and I will be going into productions, documentaries, movies, short film, to inspire people, right? So it's kind of where I'm going.
Nice. We'll link to your podcast in the show notes, of course, so people can go check that out. So best quote or verse you live by?
The two most important days of your life is the day you were born and the day you knew why.
That's a good one.
That was A.W. Tozer.
Yeah, that's a good one. Most meaningful place you've ever spoken at?
Gosh, no, that's hard. No. Behind closed doors with presidents.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That one I get. A myth about resilience that you'd retire today?
Ooh, that it comes easy. I mean, it's not my theory. I know it's not true, but I just want anyone who ever gets the wrong myth that this is easy. It's not. It's not. None of this is easy. If it was easy, we'd all be resilient. The myth, yeah, you stumped me on that one. I don't know. Then I'm the
Well, we'll retire something. We'll retire that it's easy. All right, final question. What is courage to you?
Courage is when you have Mount Everest in front of you and your challenge is like dragging up a stubborn ox backwards in mud, holding in the other hand a shield because of fiery darts. And you know this is what you're supposed to do, and you know how difficult it is. It's impossible. But because of those fiery darts, you double down. Whatever that fiery dart looks like, you need that courage, which means it's not the absence of fear, it's the strength that overcomes all of that. That's true resilience. That only comes when you have resistance. And so don't be allergic to resistance, because that actually, without that, you can never build resilience.
Awesome, Nick. I appreciate you so much. I know you've prepared a special surprise for us as well, so we'll share what that is in the link in the show notes. Nick, I really appreciate you taking the time and joining us here today.
Thank you, Daniel. It was a privilege, and God bless you all, and thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So Nick and his team asked me to give you his gift. Every speaker that comes on the show is always going to have something special prepared for you so that you can connect with them, get to know them better. So in the show notes, you have a link to an absolutely amazing gift from Nick, where he will help you identify your next steps to living that dream life. That episode, that interview was absolutely amazing. And next week, we have an equally exciting episode and interview. And I hope you subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or any other platform. Please click that subscribe button. And, if there's a way to leave a comment, to give it a rating, we really appreciate anything you do to connect with us and, of course, connect with our speakers. So make sure you claim that gift from Nick. I can promise you it's going to be really, really cool. So you have the link down in the show notes to grab that. And of course, we have one more surprise for you before we let you go. As I mentioned earlier, we run events with the top speakers in the world. And in every episode, we want to give you a special gift. And today I have a free ticket for our event that is happening in about 3 weeks from this recording. It's called Your Path to Financial Freedom, 7 Steps to Success. So by clicking the link in the show notes, you'll be able to get that free ticket to that event where you'll be learning from over 20 of the top speakers in the world. That includes Robert Kiyosaki, Jack Canfield, Kim Kiyosaki, Alessia Minkus, Rob Moore of the Disruptors podcast, Joseph McClendon III, which happens to be our guest for the next episode that's coming out on Wednesday. We have Brian Tracy, Dr. John DeMartini, John Azaroff, and many more absolutely amazing speakers. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for connecting with us. And I hope I see you at the next episode and, of course, at our events, and that you connect with Nick after this amazing interview. Thank you again, and I'll see you on Wednesday for the next episode of the Swedish Wealth Podcast.
Joseph McClendon III is a peak performance coach and Tony Robbins' longtime stage partner at UPW Unleash the Power Within. He'll give you tools to act faster and go further.
I believe that life is exactly what you dare to make it, and fortune favors the bold. Therefore, I boldly step up and dare to make my life magnificent.